biggest thing is just staying healthy. Didn't have much of an off season, so the culture of the locker room it's got to supersede the obstacles that we face. So hopefully these seniors that are coming back will be great leaders and be able to keep us together, because it's going to be difficult. But I really think with the leadership we have coming back and the players that we have that have the experience coming back, I think we got a really good opportunity to play, especially during this pandemic. But I think if we can get our culture right, that's going to be the hardest thing we got to get our hands on, is making sure that our culture carry us through the pandemic. If that happens, we got a chance to reach that championship game again. Well, based on the players we have coming back and the experience, I think this team is just as good as the team we had last year. A lot of the pieces of that puzzle are coming back. We didn't lose a whole lot of guys. So when you look at it from what's coming back and what you lost on offense, we lost Hunter Register. Everybody else will be back. Our offensive line will be back. The majority of those guys played. Our quarterbacks will be back. Our running backs will be back. Our tight ends will be back. We lost Jeremiah Houston and Jeremiah Abbey. Other than those guys, everybody else is back, and we play a lot of guys. Defensively, a lot of guys are coming back. We lost Calvin Lunkins, who was a tackle dominator for us. But other than that, up front, we lost C.J. Bryant and DeCavian Champion. Everybody else is back. We had two corners that missed last year that we'll get back, that were starters for us as true freshmen. So the depth of our football team is as good as it's ever been. I really like the talent that we have, but we just hadn't had the time to put it together. And I think that's going to be the biggest challenge for all coaches. Well, the biggest thing is just taking care of the football. I thought we did a good job of it, but not a great job of it offensively. And defensively, create some takeaways. We didn't do a great job of that. And I think if we can do those two things better, we're going to be right in the hunt. Well, I think when you look at it from probably 2014, they have been the most dominant team and the most consistent team. And the biggest thing with defeating them is that, we went through a lot of battles where we didn't have our scholarship numbers where they needed to be. And we're slowly gaining on it. I think from the time we played them early in the year to the championship game, 6 turnovers is going to be hard to beat anybody. But I really thought that our football team finally was to a point to where physically we could compete with them. And I think our guys knew they got away with one. We didn't play our best in that championship game and still had a chance to win, even with the turnovers that we had, the negative plays. It went back and forth. It was an exciting football game. But I really think we learned a lot from that game, and I think our guys are eager to get back on the field and face them again. Well, I got mixed emotions.
Somebody finally gonna tell me the truth. Thank you.
I got mixed emotions because I really, I look at things from don't dethrone the champion, don't take something away from them. And I thought they had been the most dominating team on their side, and they didn't get a chance to defend it. And that's how I look at it as a coach and a player. And moving them over to our side, I don't look at whether it's balanced, whether it's unbalanced, because year in, year out, teams are going to get better. It's going to be different every year you look at it. We welcome them to the Wild Wild West. We've always played them anyhow, so it's just like they were on the West side. But I really thought they should have had a chance to defend, their crown. I think, 5 years in a row, you've been a dominating team on that side, and then to not lose it. And they take it away from you 6 years in a row.
6 years in a
row, and then you don't get a chance to defend that. I think that's mixed emotions for me because I respect their program, and I believe they earned that. And that's just how I look at it as a coach.
A pleasant good morning to everyone, and welcome once again to another edition of the Carlos Brown Show, heard exclusively right here on the Open Mic Broadcast Network and Spreaker.com. You just heard from the SWAC 2021 Spring Virtual Media Day, the head football coach of the Southern University Jaguars, Coach Odom. Coach Odom is fired up. He's ready. And hopefully everyone else is ready as well. Spring football. Let the countdown begin. Today's guest menu looks like this. From Black College Sports Network, A.D. Drew joins me in about 15 minutes. Get a perspective from A.D. on SWAC Virtual Media Day, predicted order of finish, and of course, I'll ask him a little bit about the NFL playoffs. That's going on today and tomorrow. Yes, indeed. Then, my usual guest of Coach Van Pettaway, he'll join me at 11:03, hour number 2. And then following Coach Van Pettaway, Charles Edmond of the Alcorn State Radio Network, SWAC Sports Report. Coach Van Pettaway, the Carlos Brown Show's basketball analyst. Here's simply what's trending, and we have a lot to talk about. SWAC predicted order of finish. They've been named. Alcorn State representing the East. Wow. Not surprised there, huh? The last go around for Alcorn State in the Eastern Division, moving to the West, the Wild Wild West. Southern University predicted on the Western side. And this, of course, is on paper. The prognosticators deem it this is the way it's going to be. So, if it goes according to the prognosticators, we're looking at Alcorn State and Southern round 3. Who wants that smoke? And for Southern University, at the door, kick the doggone door in and get the championship. We'll come back to that. The spring all-conference football teams, player of the years released. We'll get to that as well. SWAC basketball continues. Not only do you have to fight an opponent, but the biggest opponent, COVID. COVID has struck again. Alabama State and Alabama A&M women, big game. Not going on now. We'll take a look at those games in the conference. How many are not played? How many will be played? We'll give you the standings as well. Southern University coaches, last week we talked about it. They were going to seek a 1-year extension. Guess what? They got it. They got it. Odoms, Woods, and Funches approved for 1-year extension, not an increase in pay. And also Coach Crenshaw, interim head baseball coach at Southern University. Also, Southern University basketball, highs and lows. Last weekend against Grambling State, and of course, women had a chance to play 2 games. The men only 1. So, guest menu: A.D. Drew, Black College Sports Network, Coach Van Pettaway, Charles Edmond. Question of the day: should other conference schools give coaches a year back on their contract because of the pandemic? Southern did it. Will we see more ADs in the conference do the same? That is the question. NFL playoffs. Last week, I was kind of worried about the Saints, still worried. Worried. But they got a victory, 21-9 over the Bears. But somehow, and tell me if I'm wrong, I'm glad to get the win, but I didn't feel enthusiastic about it. And now with Tampa Bay coming up, round 3, and here's another round 3. Can they get it done? Also, the producer of today's show, Dr. Brother Prince, his team, what a disappointment. They got knocked out, and I'm just going to simply say, what can Brown do for you? Good morning, Dr. Prince. You're feeling okay? It was a rough weekend in a way for you for sports related. But good morning to you, sir.
Oh, well, good morning, my brother. And it was a rough weekend. And I told you, I don't know if we did it on the air. They concerned me, and I thought we could have gotten this one because of the COVID issues that they were having. But obviously that was not the case. As much as I enjoyed watching Big Ben, it's time for the Big Ben to be put on the shelf, and let's move in the future. Now, rough weekend. Rough. Did I say it was a rough weekend, man? It was rough. I've lost track of time, man. I didn't even realize there were football games today.
Well, yeah, I could understand. What can Brown do for you?
Well, you know what? If I was a real heavy drinker, every prince
don't do it
can stand a crown, and that would have been a good time to crown me off, man.
Well, sometimes just being able to talk about it and get it out of your system, but do I need
to lay down on the couch? I need to lay down on the brown couch.
Yeah, and just kind of meditate and, think about maybe with me, I always think about going back to Jamaica or something like that and on the sandy white beaches and the clear blue and green water. But I know several people who are Pittsburgh Steelers fans, and it was rough.
My redemption for the weekend, you know what it was, right?
Let me see. Prairie View men.
Yeah, there you go.
Texas Southern.
And they stretched their home consecutive wins to 28. So I felt a little bit better after that. Against the Maroon and Gray. Great weekend. Had Coach Granger on along with A.D. Reed and Byron Smith. Chatterbox backed out on me because he knew he was going to have to face the music. But I got a chance to talk to him off the air. So they gave me a little bit more peace of mind.
Oh, I understand. Well, I just wanted to check on you, see if everything is going okay.
You're such a kind fellow, man. You're such a kind fellow. That's why we love you.
I'm telling you, but after the show, I had some interesting conversations about me and Coach Odoms, and
Hey, man, look, say what you want to say, and I know you're a hard taskmaster.
I just started the show off with Coach Odoms, and
I know you started.
I happen to agree with him.
But, man, look, the dude is a boss. He was. Someone asked him a question on SWAC Media Day about the fans. He said, "You can't hear that?" He said, "You can't hear the roaring of the other crowd? He got to talking, man. You don't hear that? Let's go out there for Jag Nation." I said, "Go ahead on, Coach. I'm ready to put in some eligibility, even though I'm old as dust." And, man, the dude is just a motivator, man. He's a motivator.
We have made note that you have a special relationship with Coach Odoms and you love him to death. And you know what? Mentally, what he was saying was from a mental perspective, the players, you still have the mindset that you're going to have a packed stadium.
Right.
And you're going to be playing, and it shouldn't be that much motivation, but it is in that aspect because you've been right there the last 2 years, and you've got one championship under your belt. You almost had another championship under your belt the next year against Alcorn. And Alcorn is just the nemesis, just like Grambling State is Alcorn's nemesis. It is a mental situation. I've talked to some professional people about it. Yes, I had to go sit on the couch, and they basically said it's basically mental.
Okay.
And
he admitted it much.
That's the right thing to do.
6 turnovers. You can't, like I say, you can't beat anybody with 4 Big Ben or 6 turnovers and expect to win against any decent squad. So I get you though, but we're not going to get into that. We're off to a good start. Well,
it's I'm sure it's going to come up. The pressure, it's always pressure, and hopefully the spring season will be able to be completed. I'm sure there's going to be some players that's going to have to sit out COVID protocol because COVID-19 is really still enemy number one.
Yeah, no doubt
But speaking of predicted order finish, which was my first trending story, let's take a quick look at it. SWAC East, you got Alcorn State, 93 points. Alabama A&M, I'll just go through the predicted order finish. Alabama A&M second once again picked to come in basically second. And Alabama A&M, it is now time to show me, can you also make the next move, the next step in getting better and competing? And I know Alabama A&M, it was a controversial call last year against Alcorn State. Alabama A&M, they should feel confident. The last 2 previous years, they had an opportunity to defeat Southern, couldn't get it done. So let's see. Let's see what Alabama A&M can do spring and fall 2021. Alabama State picked 3rd. Jackson State 4th. Wow. Oh, is anybody shocked by that? If you just take away the emotions of the whole situation, they have a lot to prove as well, Jackson State. But they were picked 4th. I guess it's an incentive for them to do better. 5th, Mississippi Valley State, rounding out the SWAC East. SWAC West, Southern University, picked number 1. Grambling State, number 2. Prairie View, number 3. Pine Bluff, 4. Texas Southern, 5th. Now, most of the conversation that I've been able to monitor out there is, once again, there was a lot of discussion about 2 and 3. Many people believe that they would have reversed it and had Prairie View number 2, Grambling State number 3. So that's been a hot spot as far as the discussion. But if everything goes as planned, you'll have round 3. Yeah, thank you. Thanks a lot, Derek. That smoke. Oh, boy, they're confident, man.
Hey, man.
Alcorn State and Southern. Can it happen again? Alcorn fans are going to be very confident, I'm sure. But we'll see.
You know what? A little bit, just a tiny portion. I'm going to say maybe 3% in my inner gut. I would like to see Alcorn and Southern do it, since this will be the final time that Alcorn be on the East, just for all the marbles. I'd be interested to see that before the switch will come over to see it. But like I said, it's only 3%.
Only 3%.
Only 3. From me.
Well, and you look at Alcorn State, defending champions, not a lot of focus from the media and fans of the Southwestern Athletic Conference. They're defending champions, and you know what? And as quietly as it kept, they are the defending champions. They've had a solid program for the last 6-7 years, albeit now Grambling is to Alcorn what Alcorn is to Southern as far as playing on the football field. But understandably, a lot of the conversation has been about the Jackson State hire with Coach Sanders. And if you listen, I got a chance to listen via, and watch YouTube, and some of the questions were interesting. And the one particular question they asked different coaches about the impact of Coach Sanders coming to the conference and what its effect will be. Did you guys see some of the answers? Fobbs had a classic one, just classic. And I had to give him an amen on that one. And this is one of the things I have talked about with some Southernites. And here's where I'm going with this. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. That's the caution warning signal. You're so worried about what's going on at Jackson State, your concern should be with Southern University. If you're an Alcorn State alum, your concern is more with Alcorn. You see what's going on at Jackson State because they're in the conference. You see what's going on, with Alabama A&M, bringing in 2 outstanding potential quarterbacks.
May I jump in just for a second? Just for a second.
Yes, sir. But you should not be worried so much about Jackson State, but worry about what's going on at Southern.
Well,
what's going on at Alabama A&M, Prairie View, Alcorn, Alabama State, Valley, PV, UAPB.
Yes, sir, I am.
Now, with that being said, it's going to be played on the field.
Well,
the prognostications.
That's true.
The prognostications. The predictions, what have you. I understand it. Look, I get it. It's big news. It is.
Calm down.
Oh no, I'm calm. But every time something happens, I get a little, personal text message.
Well, I understand that, but see, to all fairness and credit to Deion and to Jackson State, they're just taking advantage of the opportunity that's being presented. It's the media, whether they're on point with HBCU coverage or they're regular on HBCU coverage. It's the media that's making a big deal out of it. Now, I got tired of listening to the question that every coach, with the exception, I believe, the coach McKinney of Texas Southern, was asked about the Deion Sanders impact on their program. And I don't understand, how Deion Sanders can have an impact on other programs. Deion Sanders is not covering anybody on the field. He's a coach on the sideline. But that's those who don't know better. And for folks who don't know better, how can you expect them to do better until you educate them? We're 101 years in the operation of the Southwestern Athletic Conference. This conference was built and designed on lasting, working with what you got. There have been a plethora of ball players per capita. The Southwestern Athletic Conference have more Hall of Famers that came through our conference than any other Power 5 conference in the nation. So we got a lot to hold our head up about. And for those who don't know no better, now they'll get introduced. And maybe we can credit that to Deion, but Deion has to win. I got a bite coming up that's going to say, he bottom line, we got to win on the field and in the classroom. That's what he said. So all of this is part of the off-season ticket mover, clickbait, whatever you want to call it. And it's just a source of the entertainment until the games are kicked off.
And that's what so many can't wait for. Let the games begin. Take a quick time out. When I come back, A.D. Drew of Black College Sports Network will join me. Get his national perspective. We'll get his perspective on SWAC Virtual Media Day that was just held, a 2-day event. Tiffany Green and Jay Walker did a bang-up job, and again, it was priceless. Some of the answers, the questions, and all the coaches looked pretty professional in their suits, and Coach Fobbs with the beard now looks like he's down some weight. Looks like Odom's lost some weight. So everybody looked good. They look like they're ready to go. And we're ready to go. We'll come back next with A.D. Drew of Black College Sports Network. You're listening to the Carlos Brown Show on the Open Mic Broadcast Network.
You're listening to the Open Mic Broadcast Network located in Prairie View, Texas for news, sports, information, and inspiration 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
Reach more potential customers through our sports radio package by dialing 832-213-8824.
The birth of legends are storied in this conference. We must never forget our rich history. We now turn our gaze to the future. The new legends will emerge. New heroes to arise. The Southwestern Athletic Conference. Be our history.
I know that as parents, we work hard to do everything right. We baby-proofed our homes, put our kids in car seats, and learn what to do in an emergency. Yet most parents don't know that children could be poisoned by lead paint in their own homes. Lead poisoning causes permanent learning and behavior disorders, and the culprit is usually dust from peeling or chipping lead paint, which goes from the children's hands right into their mouths. Keep paint in good condition in your home, daycare, and other places where your children live and play. Ask your doctor to test your child for lead poisoning and get your home tested too. For more information on how to address lead paint problems safely, call 1-800-424-LEAD. This has been a public service announcement from the Open Mic Broadcast Network.
As a dad, you'll probably spend years teaching your son how to hit a baseball, how to throw a tight spiral and hit a receiver, how to spring off a diving board and hit the water, how to hit a one-wood and a 9-iron, how to hit the bullseye, how to hit the strike zone, hit a jump shot, hit the open man, hit the hockey net, and maybe the most challenging of all, how to hit the books. But the question is this: how much time will you spend teaching him what not to hit? Teach your son early and often that all violence against women is wrong. For tips on what to say, visit endabuse.org. Brought to you by the Family Violence Prevention Fund, the Waite Institute for Violence Prevention, the Ad Council, and this station.
Come on, hustle, 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 hustle. Get your head in the game. Come on.
Are you setting the right example for your kids?
You need to get some confidence.
Before your child's next game, ask yourself, how would you like it if they copied your behavior?
Ad revenue has declined 15%.
Come on, you need to get some confidence.
Positive Coaching Alliance has valuable tips and tools to help our kids perform their best while keeping sports enjoyable for everyone. Positive Coaching Alliance, creating better athletes, better people.
The station designed with you in mind, the Open Mic Broadcast Network, Prairie View, Texas.
Welcome back to this week's edition of the Coles Brown Show, heard exclusively right here on the Open Mic Broadcast Network and Spreaker.com. Today's first guest, A.D. Drew, Black College Sports Network, joins me for the first time on the show. A.D., good morning, sir. How you doing?
Good morning, my brother. How you doing? Long time fan. First time I get the chance to chat it up with you on the line, so I appreciate you getting me in.
Well, I appreciate you, and I definitely want to pick your brain and get your perspective on a couple of topics. One being the perspective on the SWAC Virtual Media Day. It was a 2-day event, just concluded. Want to get your thoughts on just how that went for you.
I'm going to start off with this. Do you think the coaches were tired of everybody asking them about Deion?
I would say yes.
I think that was the perspective that I got. Of course, everyone gave the politically correct and I don't remember who it was who said it. They said they weren't worried about Deion. They worried about making sure they got their house in order. That was Coach Fobbs. Okay, yeah. I just remember that stuck out to me, and he's absolutely right. Why am I worried about this coach over here at Jackson State? I need to make sure I'm doing what I'm supposed to do with my recruits and everything else. Hey, Deion is fine. Deion hadn't covered anybody in 25 years, and so Deion's only going to be able to do so much. Can he coach his kids up in order to make Jackson State do something? And I'm gonna go ahead and put it out here. Jackson State gonna have a tough time finishing in the top half of the East.
Oh, I'm making a note of that because, AD, if you look at it, coaches, they coach, of course. They help young student athletes, both men and women, be in a position to graduate. But they also have a competitive streak. Many of them are former players.
Correct.
On the collegiate, high school, and collegiate level. And so, they were very professional in their answers. But they can't wait. They can't wait. And to me, I'm going to use another example here. And I love him to death. Coach Mitchell. Coach Mitchell came in with not as much fanfare. Stomp Mitchell, that is. But guess what? Coach Mitchell came out and said, we're going undefeated. That's a major deduction. No, you don't do that. You don't do that. So, With that being said, it's going to be played on the field, AD.
Exactly. And, no disrespect to Coach Prine, but his presence has taken away from some of the other former professional athlete coaches that are there in the SWAC, that being Mo Williams, that being Lindsey Hunter, that being Cynthia Cooper Dyke, So, it's not like the SWAC, this is new to the SWAC having professional coaches coaching their schools. It's just he's the new flavor of the month when it comes to that, and he may be the biggest flavor in the Neapolitan ice cream, but hey, it is what it is. He still has to perform when it's all said and done.
You're absolutely right. Visiting with A.D. Drew, Black College Sports Network. Any predicted order of finish? Do you believe, when it's all said and done, the predicted order of finish will be as predicted? And do you believe that it would be maybe, not just got to ask this point, do you believe it's going to be OD situation, overdose of, could be another Alcorn State and Southern University in a SWAC spring championship game? What do you think?
Because I don't have the predicted order of finish in front of me. I've got A&M number one on the East.
Okay.
If A&M can play any type of defense with that offense that they have, they're going to be hard to beat. So I've actually got A&M taking Alcorn out this year on the east side, and on the west side, I think Southern's going to be there again, because I'm not 100% sure Coach Odom is all the way in for this spring season. Now, fall, that's a totally different story, but for this spring season, I think it's going to be Southern and A&M in the championship game.
And that'll be interesting. And they kick off the spring season playing each other, started off, and that game's going to be in Huntsville. But also, AD, I find it very interesting, and again, just predictions, Grambling State and Prairie View in the West. Quite a few people on social media believe that Prairie View should be 2 and Grambling State should be 3, and some of them base that on Coach Dooley. The last 2 years, Prairie View and them has defeated Grambling State University. Your thoughts?
It would not surprise me if Prairie View moves into the top half of the West. We all know they've got some excellent quarterbacks down there, and the last 2-3 years they've had excellent quarterback play. Once again, it's going to come down to, can they figure it out on defense? And that's not just true for Prairie View, but that's going to be true for any team that's in the SWAC. All of these teams can pretty much put up points, but who can stop who on those 1-2 possessions that you're going to need to make the difference in the ball game? That's going to be the winner of the divisions in the SWAC and ultimately the SWAC champion.
Well, the old cliche, and it's an old one, but it rings true a lot. Defense wins championship, and if my memory is correct, based on that, and if they come back and play any type of defense, Alcorn State's defense was pretty good. Pretty good, I would say. Very good. Alabama A&M, Prairie View, I always lump them in the same category. They can score with the best. Defense is where they need to improve the most. And with Alabama State, not a lot talked about them, but some people see them as the sleeper of it all, one of 2 sleepers. So with that being said, I've asked you who you believe. You've got Alabama A&M and Southern University. Who would be a sleeper team or the team to watch out that could be in the championship game?
I'm going to put it out there. On the east side, Jackson State. You know, it's not like the cupboard was bare when Coach Prime took that program over. He's brought in some recruits. Now, a lot of those recruits will not be eligible until the fall. But guess what? Your Warrens are practicing against those kids this spring. So he should be able to get some good looks and some good simulations with some of that talent that he has for a quote-unquote practice squad. So it would not surprise me if Jackson State gets there. Now, would I go to Vegas and put some money on it? No, but it wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah, because I'm wondering, and I know who to ask. I'm wondering how many of those transfers will be eligible right away, or how many will come in the fall.
Yeah,
I'll find out that as well. How about in the West?
In the West, you know, UAPB had a surprisingly good start to their season last year and kind of fell off at the end. Can they put it all together for an entire schedule? You're only playing 6 games this year. So if they can get off to that start like they did last year and the year before and hold it for 6 games, UAPB would be the team that I would look at in the West.
Visiting with A.D. Drew of Black College Sports Network here on the Carlos Brown Show. A.D., if I can, let me switch up a little bit now to the NFL playoffs. A couple of teams left, a few teams left. Some big games left in the playoffs. Rams at Packers, that's one. Ravens at the Bills. Browns at the Chiefs. And the Buccaneers at the Saints. How do you see this weekend playing out as far as NFL playoffs?
Let's start with the Bucs and the Saints. You know, that kind of reminds me of that over 40 basketball league or the beer league softball league as far as the 2 quarterbacks go. You know,
you say that because they're just a little bit in the 40+ club.
I'm gonna put it like this: one of those quarterbacks would have been in high school with me. He would have been a freshman when I was a senior. So how he's able to still do this at this point, I don't know, because I know how my body was when I was in my early 40s. So the fact that both of these quarterbacks are able to do this is amazing, point blank. Now, for me, I've always been a Bucs fan, but I have never been a Tom Brady fan. So, but once again, if I was putting some a steak dinner, we'll just call it like that. If I was putting steak dinner on it, then it's hard to beat a team 3 times. So it's not like Tom Brady hasn't seen everything. If the Bucs line holds up, the Bucs will win it and win it comfortably.
I got you down. You know, the audience wants to hear what your perspective is. I'm not going to be combative, and I'm not going to count because you know what, AD, the point you bring up though, that is a real concern. How, and I know statistics say that the Saints have done well against Tampa Bay, but defeating a team 3 times, I have major concerns.
I do too. And you know, it's just like when you fight your brother or your cousins and everything else. All right, now you know how he snuck that punch in and got you those first 2 times. Now you know to look out for that left hook. So now you're gonna come with something else to counteract that, so he can't even throw that left hook. The same thing. It's going to be the same thing.
I'll have to use that analogy when Southern and Alcorn plays the next time. You know, come on, you got the strike while it's hot. Ravens and the Bills.
Can the Ravens stop Lamar? Ravens have not really stopped anybody running. Excuse me, I said Ravens. The Bills' run defense has not been the best in the world. You got the best running quarterback in the league right now, and who may arguably go down in history as one of the top dual threat quarterbacks in the league. If he does not have to throw the ball more than 25 times or so, 25, 30 times, Ravens win this game easy.
Boy, I tell you what, AD, you got some bold predictions in them. Yeah, well, but you know, I'm looking at some other predictions, and they have bold predictions. So you're right in line with some of those predictions being very bold. Lamar Jackson, dual threat quarterback. I think they're going to have to. The defense coordinator has to feel that we've got to force him to throw to beat us, and if he does, hey, we'll accept the fact. We'll accept it.
Exactly.
Rams and Packers, and then the Browns and the Chiefs. Rams and the Packers. I would think, AD, when you're playing, one advantage Packers have outside, and it is brutally cold there. That's one place, if I don't ever visit, it wouldn't bother me one iota. But your thoughts on the
I'll go up there in July. How about that?
There you go. Yeah, you're right. So, not now.
No. I will not go to Wisconsin in the during this time of the year. Not by choice, at least. And that's what the Rams are. You know, Goff is a warm weather quarterback. He's got that hand injury. Anytime you have those type of injuries and the cold to compound it, all it takes is the wrong hit, handing the ball off, and he doesn't get his hand out of there when he's putting the ball in the running back's gut. Anything, and it goes wrong for the Rams. You got to take Green Bay. Plus, and it's so hard to beat at home anyway. So
yeah,
you got to take Green Bay.
And listen to this, AD. The Packers were the number one team in the NFL in scoring. Guess who's the number one scoring defense?
That would be
the Rams.
Yeah.
Wow. And the Packers ranked first in ESPN's pass block win rate and run block win rate. Errol Donald and Leonard Floyd against Devontae Adams and Mr. Rogers. Should be interesting.
The one thing that the Rams have, if they can get pressure on Rodgers, and for lack of a better word, now Rodgers is a mobile quarterback, but if you actually force him to run, he's not a running quarterback. He's a mobile quarterback. He's good at sidestepping, stepping up in the pocket, and doing things in the pocket. But if Rodgers has to consistently bail out the pocket and take off like he's Lamar Jackson, Rams have a good chance.
Yeah, it's just that weather, and I believe it's going to be snowing. If not the entire game, at some point, but the temperature is supposed to be really, really cold. But Green Bay, by most experts, are saying they will be in the NFC Championship. Last but not least, the team that has been anointed, defending NFL champions, the offensive juggernaut, the Kansas City Chiefs, against the upstart Browns, who just pistol whipped some team last week, but we won't mention that name.
Would that be the black and gold?
Yeah. Dr. Prince is threatening to mute me in the background, but
hey, don't get the producer mad now.
Yeah, I better learn that quickly, huh? But KC a heavy favorite against the Cleveland Browns.
Look, Cleveland Browns may run this ball 40 times in this game. They do not want Kansas City to have the ball on offense. Keep in mind, Kansas City has not been blowing everybody out like they did last year. If this comes down to a close game, I'm kind of afraid for Kansas City. Yeah, they can score when they want to. But the question is, if Cleveland scores late, will Kansas City get the ball back? Now, Now, we know Patrick Mahomes only needs about 30, 40 seconds to go all the way down the field. But, hopefully Cleveland's defense don't look like the Atlanta Falcons did against Dallas a couple of months ago, where they give up a touchdown in like 3 plays with 15 seconds to go on the clock. Everybody knows what game I'm talking about. But expect the Browns to run the ball 30, 40 times. Browns have to take the tight end away from Patrick Mahomes. Kansas City, top offense, but correct me if I'm wrong, they're like the number 30 defense, if I remember correctly, or number 20. I know they're the worst defense of the remaining 18.
Well, I'll have to look that up right quick. But with that being said,
I'm still taking Kansas City, though.
Yeah, you still taking Kansas City.
With all that, I'm still taking Kansas City. Patrick Mahomes is tough, and if you give him anything, it's going to be tough. One thing to watch out for: see who has the ball to open up the third quarter. If Cleveland has the ball to open up the third quarter and could get a drive at the end of the half, a la what New England likes to do all the time, that may be the difference to swing the game. If they're able to score on those 2 drives, whoever has that ball in that situation, that's going to be the swing time of the game.
Well, and we have people listening, weighing in, and Dr. Prince will appreciate this. My best friend in the whole wide world said, "You just took a shot at Pittsburgh." And I said, "Yes, I did." He said, "No worries. We still have 6 rings, baby."
That's what I'm talking about, Brother Truck. That's the way to put them back in check, man.
the Pittsburgh Steelers. But guess what? It was more at a shot at Dr. Prince. But anyway. But the Steelers is my team I was pulling for after the Saints. So there are some things that Pittsburgh will have to correct. But I think all teams, after the end of the season, you have to look at what worked, what didn't, who's going to be back, draft picks and all that good stuff, AD. So Pittsburgh will be back. They will be back. Now, whether they will look the same at quarterback, that's going to be a different story, AD.
And in Pittsburgh's defense, did anybody play a more jumbled up schedule than the Steelers this year? I mean, they were supposed to have their bye week, I believe, about week 6, week 7. They wound up having to take it in week 3 because of COVID. Then they come back. They played 5 games in 28 days, or something ridiculous at 5 in a 3-week time span, or something ridiculous like that. That takes a wear and tear on those people's bodies. And now I'm gonna flip that analogy back to college. Let's keep this in mind when we look at this college season with this spring fall. Is the product that we see in fall 21 going to be diminished because of the product that we see in spring 21? My crystal ball is still in the layaway, so I can't give you the answer right now. But as soon as I get it out, I'll tell you what it is.
I appreciate it. It has been it hasn't been a normal year, dealing with the pandemic, stoppages, playing stop. We see it in basketball even more so. It's just been a tough year. So I'm not advocating putting an asterisk about any championships. Just make note of it from a historical standpoint. It's been a challenging year, AD. Very challenging.
A ring is a ring is a ring.
I heard that.
No matter how you get it, this one, whoever wins it, be it a conference championship, be it conference tournament, be it national championship, this one is going to be special because of what these athletes, these coaches, the administrators, the support staff, the fans, the parents. I mean, let's think about this. let's think about all the classics that are in the SWAC, the ones that are still going to be going on this spring. Can you really imagine Magic City Classic without the tailgate, the parade, and any fans in the stands?
No, not in a normal year, but yeah. Now,
can you imagine the Bayou in Shreveport without everything that goes around the Bayou? No offense to Shreveport, but the Bayou is New Orleans.
Yeah.
The State Fair, without everything that goes on at the State Fair, it's going to be different. And then me as a parent with a college athlete that I'm a parent of, not being able to just take off and go watch my child play. That's difficult on us as parents also. And then for your child to be able to look up in the stands and say, there go my mama, there my grandmama, there my auntie, there my cousin, they're my cousin girlfriend or boyfriend who I really like, but they still came to support me. You know how they go.
Yeah.
So it is tough. Kids get a couple of days off from practice. They can't go nowhere because they can't leave campus.
Yeah. Well, this too shall pass, and hopefully it's in the sports world, the world in general. We're in a better place later on this year. Everyone's been pointing to the fall, so hopefully vaccines can be distributed for those who want to take those vaccines, and just hope we're in a better place, AD. And now, for the record, again, you have Alabama A&M and Southern maybe playing in the spring SWAC championship. Is that your prediction, or did I hear you wrong?
No, that's my prediction as of right now. That's my early prognostication without looking and seeing exactly, who opts out. Now they may change as we see opt out, but right now, based upon what we think is coming back this spring, that's what I have.
Well, I'm sure you're number one on the Alcorn list of you didn't pick Alcorn. So now we're going to be following. Speaking of that, as we wrap this up, for those who want to follow you on your social media and the Black College Sports Network, wrap this up, telling them how they can do so.
You can follow myself and my partner Brian Fulford on our weekly show called The Sports Wrap. That is available on our app, available on the Google Play and the Apple App Store. Search My BCSN or My JBN. Download our app, and then you will have it with you all the time. But for those of you all who do not like apps, you can catch us on our website, www.mybcsn.net. Once again, that's www.mybcsn.net. You can search for us on all social media, including YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, and anywhere that you get your podcast also. Twitter handle and social media handle is at MyBCSN and the number 1. You can reach me on Twitter also at BCSN Drew. That's BCSN DREW. And I've got to get this PSA out about the vaccine. I lived in Tuskegee, Alabama for 15 years. I was one of those people, because of the history of what happened in Tuskegee with governmental experiments. Don't need to go into it. Everybody knows what I'm talking about. Who was like, I will not be at the front of the line to take the vaccine. But after talking to multiple people who I trust in the medical field and everything else, I will tell you this, as somebody who lived in Tuskegee, knows the attorney who bought the lawsuit to end the Tuskegee syphilis study and a few other people associated with that study. Do not use Tuskegee as your excuse for not taking the vaccine. Do your own research, make your own decision, but do not use Tuskegee as your excuse.
Well said. And I agree. You got to do what you have to do. Do the research. and make sure you make a decision that you can live
that
with.
you're comfortable with. Exactly.
Yes, sir. On that note, appreciate the time, brother. We will have to do it again real soon. I kind of put down a note, bold prediction from A.D. Drew. That's going to be kind of your thing. When I call you back, I'm going to always be looking for a bold prediction. And, the Alcorn fans, they're snickering. I see you. But that's all right. Go ahead.
One of us is going to say, I told you so, next time we conversate about this. The question is who?
Oh, I heard that.
and of course, we would love to have you on the BCSN Sports Wrap anytime that you have time, my brother.
All right. I appreciate the offer. Thank you so much. Pleasure talking with you. Have a great rest of your weekend, and always be blessed and be safe.
All right, my brother. Appreciate you. Appreciate all y'all over there. Again, y'all keep doing what y'all doing for HBCUs and black media, and we'll do the same.
Appreciate it. Thank you. That was A.D. Drew, Black College Sports Network, joining me here on the Carlos Brown Show. A couple of other things to talk about. Some of you have sent me some messages, and it is really some other things that we have to discuss. Derek says, let's discuss the schedule. Was really disappointed the media didn't tune into the commission saying Alcorn would play JSU and Valley annually, or that distance played biggest role in schedule consideration. So is this truly a 5-2-1 mandate now? And how does everyone feel about that? I was told about the comments, and and I went to look, Dr. Prince, on YouTube. And I didn't see anything, so maybe I was in error and I missed it.
You didn't see anything what? You didn't see anything what? You didn't see anything what?
Well, I didn't. I wasn't able to see the commissioners. I guess.
Oh yeah.
We
got it. You can go to the open mic YouTube deal, but we got it. But he did make that mention about Jackson, Alcorn, and Valley.
Can you speak up a little bit, Dr.
I'm sorry, sir. Is that better?
Yeah.
Okay. No, I said he said that he could the Jackson, Alcorn, and Valley would play each other annually, and so that means it's going to be an off balance schedule to keep the rivalries going on. So it's going to be interesting how it's going to play in, and it's also going to be a factor on how the Florida schools play in when it comes to the travel and concerns, because earlier the commissioner had addressed that. So what I want to see is the 10-year schedule. That's what I want to see.
You know what I'm going to do? I think I'm going to hear it and let him explain to me, because he explains stuff to me so well. And, sometimes I don't catch it the first time. I'm going to put in the invite to the commissioner.
Okay.
Dr. Charles McClellan. And how about that, Derek? And kind of get to the nuts and the bolts, the crux.
The nitty-gritty.
Yeah. Also, I want to read a couple more comments from Jack. Had an interesting one. One was addressed to you. And let's see. He says, ask Dr. Prince, what is his opinion on the Southland Conference pursuit of TSU and Prairie View A&M? Are the talks real?
Yes, they are. And no, neither institution is interested in leaving. The Southland, by way of firm search committee, had offered invites to 4 SWAC schools in particular and other schools throughout the nation, trying to realign the new Southland look in the near future. But and I've been saying this, and there's been little whispers. I try to be subtle, but to the point. We can't fall for the travel okie doke. If you stay in the Southland, you'll have Louisiana, Texas, and that's the only travel. It cuts down your expense. That's an okie doke move. And to be quite blunt and honest with you, I think if any SWAC school goes over to the Southland, they're going to end up as a nomad, such as Tennessee State has become. And that's my opinion.
Yeah. I don't think it would happen, and I can't speak for any institutions in this conference. I love to speak for Southern, but I can't actually.
Well, you can, but not officially. You can, but not officially.
But do I need to break out the this segment? Opinions and facts are facts and opinions. That is opinion. The fact is they have entered the Southland. They're in trouble. That's the fact.
Yes.
And they've lost half of their members. They're looking for
a bailout. They're looking for bailouts, and I don't think we should be trying to bail them out.
Institutions. I don't think it's going to happen. You know what? Tell them thanks, but no thanks. No, don't do it. Don't do it. My opinion is it won't happen. The fact is they've reached out, and they may reach out again. But my opinion is they won't go.
Well, you can't fault a person for asking. That's part of their right. You just don't have to accept the invite. Every girl didn't dance with me when I asked her for a dance, but don't mean I didn't dance.
Some of those girls, I'm glad they didn't ask me, and I wouldn't have danced anyway. Hey, beauty is in the eye of the beholder. You don't hear me.
Yes, sir. You better talk, sir.
Jack also said, I don't think the Grambling Alcorn football game is nowhere equal to the Southern Alcorn football situation because Grambling beating Alcorn didn't stand. Now we're jamming up here, trying to get the rest of that one. Let's reset. Let's reboot. Let's see. Because Grambling beating Alcorn didn't stand in the way of Alcorn winning a championship. Let me read that again. I don't think the Grambling Alcorn football game is nowhere equal to the Southern Alcorn football situation because Grambling beating Alcorn didn't stand in the way of Alcorn winning a championship. What do you think about that, audience? I don't know. I know I said earlier, Grambling is to Alcorn what Alcorn is to Southern. You're almost going to do a mathematical equation with that one. Equal to, less than, or more than. All I know, Alcorn has had Southern's number. Grambling is 8-2 in the last 10 games. And actually one of the questions that were asked at Media Day was, by Jay Walker, I believe it was, about Alcorn moving to the West, and what Favre thought about that. Well, hey, if I'm 8-2 against Alcorn, who have dominated the Eastern Division, that's a good thing. But again, look at sometimes it's all in the matchups. Grambling 8-2 against Alcorn State. Alcorn is whatever number plus 1 against Southern University. But then Grambling State 0-2 against Prairie View the last 2 seasons. So you see where I'm going? It's one team matches up better with the other team, but not necessarily with the third team. Ugh. Just get it all on paper and get it on the field. Predictions are good. It's good to stir up conversation. Interesting. Question: should other conference schools give coaches a year back on their contracts? Southern University gave a contract extension to Odoms, Wood, and Funches. SWAC predicted order finish. Alcorn State and Southern. Prognosticator says it will happen. The Battle 3. We got to get to the Spring All-Conference football team Players of the Year release. And coming up in a matter of minutes, going to talk some Southwestern Athletic Conference basketball with Coach Van Pettaway, the Coles Brown Show's basketball analyst. Matter of fact, he's coming up in a matter of minutes. We're going to take a timeout. Hour number 2 has started. The show will continue. You're listening to the Coles Brown Show on the Open Mic Broadcast Network.
Attention all coaches. Whatever your sport is, we want to tell your story. Dial our 24 hours, 7 days a week message line at 713-570-6736. Leave your game results, team results, and player results on our 24-hour message line, 713-570-6736. Have sports, we'll travel. The Open Mic Broadcast Network, serving the community through faith and athletics, the voice of student athletics.
This is Sergeant Stephen Wirt, and this is Safety Talk. Do you know the top reasons why people cause crashes here in the state of Texas? Number one, failing to control speed. Over 140,000 individuals were the cause of a crash due to driving fast. Number two, driver inattention. Over 86,000 people here in Texas were the cause of a crash because they weren't actually paying attention to the roadway. Number three, changing lanes when unsafe. We had almost 42,000 Texans that did not adhere to changing lanes when it was safe on the roadway. Number four, failing to drive in a single lane. And finally, five, fail to yield the right-of-way at a turn. It's your responsibility to ensure once you're driving on the road that you're paying attention and sharing the road. Drive safety. This is Sergeant Stephen Water with DPS with Safety Talk.
Reparation won't be in the form when the conversation first came up. But reparation for Dallas State, Jackson State, and the other HBCU coaches out there, you know what it would be? Let the state come through and pay those coaches like it's supposed to be. Whatever Dallas State can do, whatever Arkansas Pine Bluff coach and Auburn coach who can't do for the coach, let the state chip in and do what they're supposed to do. All these states. Because it's just not in Mississippi, they got the short end of the stick across the long length of time. It has been all of them that have gotten the short end of the stick. Whether they admit it or not, there's some challenges out there on all the HBCUs. And now, have they done good? Yeah, they have done good. But have they done what they're capable of doing? No, they haven't. And they haven't because of the funding that they have been receiving.
Our fans need to come out and support these schools. All of our SWAC fans, because attendance is down. So all of our fans have got to come out. We got to support our schools. We got to support our own. It's a message to all the alumnus. Support your schools.
The voice of student athletics, the Open Mic Broadcast Network.
Back to this week's edition of the Carlos Brown Show, heard exclusively right here on the Open Mic Broadcast Network and Spreaker.com. No, I'm not anti-coach or coaches. One of my favorite coaches is coming up next. Oh, he knows how to make me feel better. Coach Van Pettaway. Coach, good morning to you. How you doing, sir?
Hey, I'm doing fine, Carlos. I hope everybody else is doing well as also.
Yeah, everyone's doing well. They're, trying to make it every day by day, living, trying to be safe, trying to stay blessed, and at least for 2 hours an opportunity to get your mind away from other things.
Right,
and listen in on us. And I'm interested. We're going to get right into it. I'm so excited about a team that didn't, and I'm starting on the women's side, Coach.
Yes.
Didn't have a non-conference schedule, didn't play a game before a conference. They're on a 3-game winning streak. Special shout out and kudos to Alabama State women. 3-0.
Right.
Winning streak. 3-game winning streak. Just simply amazing, Coach Pettaway. I know you have to come on and give the shout out to Alabama State as well.
Right. We got to give them their props. And then all Alabama State is doing is showing the world that none of us know what the age we're talking about, because none of us had them up there. You know what?
The heck that we're talking about.
Right. We don't know what we're talking about. All we can do is predict, but the kids are going to determine what happens on the floor. And they've done an outstanding job. You got to give that to them. Frida Jackson has those ladies rolling. And her staff, she and her staff, because out of their 3 wins, she participated in the game against Jackson State, and she had to miss the next 2 because of the undefeated thing, the virus. The virus kept her out of the other 2 games, but her staff went on the road, and they won two basketball games, and they're doing a great job. They got the Pearson kid from up our way, from Hazel Green, off a state championship team. She was the player of the year in her classification, 5A here in the state. And she's playing hard and doing a great job as a freshman. And she's got Alabama State right there in the mix. And right now, they're leading. Perfect record, 3-0, no preseason games. Outstanding.
Outstanding. And Coach, when you look at that Alabama State team, last year they were very young. Now they're a year older, and no matter what happens the rest of the conference season, the future looks bright for Alabama State. Wouldn't you agree?
Oh yes. I would agree with that, because they brought in some young people, had another good recruiting season, and they've added to those to that young team that they had last year, and so they're winning. I mean, they're leading on the women's side with a 3-0 record. Texas Southern's 1-0. Jackson State 3-1. Their only loss was to Alabama State. So right now, Bama State holds the tiebreaker, and then A&M at 2-1. And speaking of A&M and Bama State, that game today has been postponed because of the undefeated one, the virus again.
Yes, sir.
They won't be playing. So it's going to be interesting.
Very interesting. And then at the bottom half, and listener Jack says his most disappointing women's team is Southern University, and he says the number 1 team on the men's side is Prairie View A&M, but still on the women's side, Southern 1-2, Valley 0-3.
Prairie View
and Prairie View.
Now that shocked me. To me, that's the biggest shocker. Prairie View being 0-3, because I thought Sandy, Coach Pugh, was ready to turn the corner, and I thought her ladies were ready, but they've got some issues that they've got to work out. But it's still a long ways to go if you can get the games in. Now, if you keep having to postpone and start again, like you take Alabama State. Now they were on a roll. They don't need a week off. They need to keep playing. So you want to keep, as a coach, when you're playing well, you want to play every day. You don't want to miss anything,
right?
Because you want to keep that continuity going. You want to keep that pace going. So this could really hurt Alabama State not being able to play today. So you got to look at that. And then when you look at A&M, they've won 2 in a row. They won those 2 games without their leader. Coach Richards couldn't make the trip for those 2 games. So we're showing that you got some complete staffs in the SWAC, because they're winning without the head coaches. And then that's on the women's side. And then when you flip it over to the men's side, today's game between Alabama State and A&M, the head coach won't be there for A&M. He's out with the because of the protocol. So the virus is really affecting how you play. This stop is really affecting these teams, and you're really not going to get a good picture of what's going on until these teams can consistently play. They got to be able to play on a consistent basis. And so this season's going to be up in the air.
And no excuses, but Genovia Johnson, leading scorer for Southern University, not playing. Had a couple of players, opt out. And so, I guess Jack's saying still no excuses about Southern University women being most disappointing, basically is what he's saying.
Yeah, but they've only lost 2 games, so he expected them to go undefeated or something?
No, I don't know, but
we have to temper our expectations, especially during this year. I've already gone on record saying that you need to give the coaches a mulligan, and when I say a mulligan, I'm talking about giving them a break for this season because it's so unpredictable. You can't. To me, you don't hold them to the same standards if everything was normal. You can't do that, in my opinion.
Well, and to your point, then I have a question, and then I'll just ask you the question. Should other conference schools give coaches a year back on their contracts? Because last week we talked about what Southern was planning to do, and their board approved it. Odoms, Woods, and Funchess got a year. So why should we expect other administrators in this conference to do the same? Will we see it?
Well, I wish they would. I wish they would. But I'm here to tell you, all of them will not do it. But I think all coaches should get a mulligan. They should get this year back on their contract. That's not to say giving out raises. No, don't give them a raise. Just give them this year back. Give it back on their contract. I would love to see that. Yeah. And I think it's only fair.
And believe it or not, I believe it's the right thing to do, Coach.
Correct. I agree with you on that.
For those out there say I'm anti-coaching and anti-giving contract extensions.
Go ahead.
The devil wants to play devil advocate.
I love you too, fella. Coach, I hear you loud and clear, and I'm on both sides of the fence, okay? No, you cannot hold them to the T, but you could possibly dot an I. And if you're in the realm of giving them the extra year, could you not then reduce their pay because they have not been able to perform their job for this year?
No. Let me tell you why I don't think you dot their pay. They need to get a raise because of the different things that they had to go through. This is a very unusual year. They're going through more things this year than they've ever had to encounter. Mm-hmm. So I would be totally against docking pay because of that. They're asked to do more than they would in a normal year.
Okay, because some of the presidents, not ADs, some of the presidents are pushing for the games to go back because they feel like the coaches are getting paid for doing nothing. And that's why they're pushing so hard for these games to be played.
Let me just tell you this.
I'm just saying now, don't shoot the messenger.
Okay, no. This is what I'm getting ready to tell you. The presidents that feel that way, that's why their athletic programs are not successful.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? Mm-hmm. If you check the record, I guarantee you the majority of the presidents that feel that way, they don't have successful athletic programs. That's the wrong mentality.
Okay. I was just running it up the flagpole, sir.
Okay, no. You'll find it just like I know everybody's not going to agree with me that they should be given a mulligan.
Mm-hmm.
But if they ever coach a team with their heart,
mm-hmm.
they'll understand that these coaches should have a mulligan. Because without the virus, it's difficult coaching today's athletes. It's very difficult coaching today's athletes. Then you add the virus where you got to be tested umpteen times a week. You got to help and talk to these kids every day about following the protocols, which that part of it was not in coaching. But now you got to ensure that these kids stay within the guidelines that the university, the SWAC, and the NC2A has put out there for their health, for their own health. This is added pressure to these coaches. Then you turn around. I got my team going, and now, because of the virus or the protocol, we got to stop practice. And now we got to start all over again. That is tough on the coaches. It's tough on the players. The NC2A did it right. They gave every player another year. The administrators need to get it right. Give the coaches a mulligan and give them another year. That's Van Pettaway's opinion, and I'm not going to change.
I'm visiting with Coach Van Pettaway, the Coles Brown Show's basketball analyst. Dr. Prince says the godfather of of basketball coaches. And as I'm listening to you give your opinion and your reason why, I'm going back to Frida Jackson. She, y'all counterparts in a way, very passionate on the court side. And I remember watching one game, and I mean, she was just tearing into people, players, about something they did wrong. But then, a few minutes later, she was patting them on the back. All right, let's get in there and let's make these adjustments. Yeah, I'm close enough I can hear it. So don't mistake passionate and being a tough coach is not a coach that's not concerning or not concerned about their players.
Right. And see, when you take somebody like Frida now, she's a SWAC lifer. She played in the SWAC. SWAC Player of the Year. She's in the SWAC Hall of Fame. Now she's given her life to coaching and coaching in the SWAC. She's a SWAC lifer, and she's doing it her way. She's been very successful, and if I'm not mistaken, she should be the longest tenured coach in this female coach in the SWAC right now.
Yeah, so she's a year ahead. Yeah,
right. So she coaches with a lot of passion, and it's even becoming more difficult for her to coach that way with today's athletes. And that's why I feel the coaches that are surviving this should be given a mulligan.
But, Coach, players, attitudes, you've heard the saying, the cliche, that kids are different now. But you and her, and most of the coaches that have been in this conference a long time, they still coach the same way. They still got their foundation, their principles, and they have to make adjustments. Yeah, but at the end of the day, they're still doing it their way.
Right.
You guys haven't changed.
Right. Well, no, I cannot change that because that's just the way I am. That's just the way I am. So that the coaches, I give every coach that's competing this year in any sport, I give them all the credit, all the kudos that you can have. And my hat is off to them. My heart goes out to them because these are very difficult times and circumstances for them to try to do their craft with everybody watching. Our fans and our alumni, they still expect the same results. Everybody wants to hang that banner, but they don't know what these players and coaches are going through to get in position for those banners. It's tougher on the players. It's tougher on the coaches. You can't say that. You cannot say that enough.
Yeah,
and it's not just playing out in the SWAC. It's playing out all over college basketball. You look at the Blue Bloods; they're struggling. Kentucky, Duke, they're struggling. They're not having their normal years. And what's the one thing that everybody has in common? The virus. The virus took away practice time. Took away fundamental time. Took away time that the coaches would be spending with these players to get to know them, because you can't be around each other like you normally would.
Yeah, and I would imagine, Coach, of course, it's frustrating for the coaches who, because they know it's not a normal time, a normal year, but they must try to still stay the course.
Right, because in the back of their mind, some of their presidents are not giving them a break, and the majority of their fans are not giving them a break, fans and alumni. And that's just not fair.
Well, sometimes you have to sit back and reflect on maybe, hey, look what Coach Pettaway is saying. Give them this year.
Right.
To get through it. But, of course, some coaches will be on the hot seat or the warm seat, whatever way you want to call it. But as far as basketball, Coach, we've talked about on the women's side.
Now on the men.
On the men's side. Prairie View?
No. The top should be Pine Bluff. They leading. Who had Pine Bluff at the top on the men's side? Nobody.
Nope.
No one. Prairie View is currently in second place, but we already had Prairie View and Southern in the top 4. Well, I guarantee you nobody. You name me one person that had Pine Bluff in the top 4. Nobody.
I know.
Right.
I know
no one had Georgia up there. So they're doing well, but abbreviated schedule. They played 2 games. They beat Valley. They beat Alabama State. Prairie View has their first win against their arch rival, Texas Southern. Southern beat Grambling in a great game. I was able to stream that game and watch it. They did an outstanding job. Grambling's 2-1. Alabama State, Coach Williams got his first win as a head coach. He was able to beat Mississippi Valley.
And we look, and Coach, if we look, you're absolutely right. We look at it. Pine Bluff 2-0, as you stated, on a 2-game winning streak. Prairie View A&M 1-0 in conference. Big win over Texas Southern. Got a chance to hear a little bit of that ball game. Boy, Chatterbox, you better watch your blood pressure. Watch your blood pressure. I love them to death. Jackson State 1-0, Grambling State 2-1, Alabama State 1-3, Alabama A&M 0-0. Then you got Texas Southern 0-1, Alcorn State 0-1, and Valley. With that being said, our listener Jack says he likes Prairie View A&M, but let's not forget about Arkansas Pine Bluff, who, by the way, unless it's been called off, they're in Baton Rouge today.
Right.
Match up with Southern University. So some important games. And Coach, and we'll try to find out exactly how they're going to address this, but time waits for no one. And, Southern, 1 game being able to play in conference, Jackson State 1. The big question is, what are they going to do? Make up games, et cetera, et cetera. What do you think is going to end up happening?
I would think they were going to attempt to try to make up some of these games. Mm-hmm. I don't see how. The only way is, I think, is to play during midweek because right now you've already got games scheduled for every Saturday and Monday. So somewhere along the line, if they're going to make up games, it's got to be done during the week. I don't think there's nothing on the back end of the schedule that would allow you to play before the SWAC tournament. So it's got to be during the week. And to be honest, I think this year you may not get a true conference champion because everybody may not even get a chance to play each other once, let alone twice. So it's going to be very difficult crowning a conference champion this year.
And boy, and if you look ahead, the NCAA basketball tournament, that's a big moneymaker, huge moneymaker.
Right. And you got to play 13 games to be eligible for that.
Right. So very important to have a piece of that windfall. Very important. And it's just tough in basketball.
Right, but we've seen some good basketball. I've got an opportunity to see Arkansas Pine Bluff and Coach Ivory. He's adjusting with the times. If you played Coach Ivory back, if I went back and looked at notes, if you went up against Arkansas Pine Bluff, you knew to get ready for the 2-3 zone, matchup zone.
Well,
he's not doing that anymore.
Syracuse 2-3 matchup zone.
Yep, look, he's not doing that now. He switched back to a man-to-man, and he's getting it done.
Hot darn.
Yep, he's adjusting. He's adjusting with his personnel. He's going back to man-to-man. They're doing a pretty good job of it. And he's got some athletes. I remember him saying last year that he had people that were hurt, and those kids are back this year. They're playing well for him. So, it's going to be interesting going down the stretch. And if they can play the games today, this weekend will really tell a story because if he's down there at Southern, that means he's got Alcorn on Monday. We'll know if they're for real after this weekend.
Going to be some interesting games. So, for Saturday, January the 16th, which is today, of course, on the men's side, UAPB at Southern. Alabama State and Alabama A&M. The men are going to play a little earlier now, correct?
Right at 3 o'clock. Yeah.
Okay, and this makes it because then when you're looking at it, you get official emails about this game has been postponed and canceled, and then they do their report. They put it out already, and it may not reflect some of those
correct
postponements. So, with that being said, Mississippi Valley State at Alcorn, Grambling State at Texas Southern, and Jackson State and Prairie View A&M postponed.
Correct. So that would have been a good game now, Jackson State against Prairie View, because they both believe in defense. But see, you won't get that matchup. Now, what happens if that game if they can't play that game? That's a big loss for the fans, with the ones that are watching it online and the few that they're letting in the building. That would have been a great matchup. As a coach, I would love to see that game. Coach Smith, Coach Brent, they hang their hats on defense. They get after. And I told you all before, I love watching Coach Smith's teams play. I watched him coach his first game. We had that. That's back when there was a real SWAT digital network. We had that first. Leave it alone, Dr. Prince. Leave it alone. And listen, leave it alone. And listen. So I got an opportunity to see that man pour out his heart and his passion in that game against his biggest rival, and he has continued to do that. He's brought two straight conference championships to Texas Southern. To Prairie View, doing the same thing.
Wow, man! And Jackson State and Texas Southern Monday postponed. So Jackson State players in COVID protocol. UAPB at Alcorn State. That'll be MLK Day. Mississippi Valley State at Southern and Grambling State at Prairie View. And then, well, Coach Pettaway, Alabama State on the women's side, UAPB and Prairie View on the men's side in a conference schedule that's, I guess, fast approaching the midway point, wouldn't you say?
Right. And you haven't played that many games. So, I said, it's going to be tough for the conference office to figure out how to crown a champion. It's going to be tough for these teams to get to their 13 games. The teams that played in the preseason, they have a better shot at getting to 13 games. But you take a team like Alabama State. Alabama State women could run the conference schedule and still not have enough games to qualify for the NC2A.
Somebody's going to have to get together and kind of come out and let us know.
Right, and see, if I was Alabama State and I was close, I would be pushing to play two midweek games to get my 13.
Yeah.
Yep. Right. You got to play 13, so I get them in.
Well, hopefully this whole situation will work its way out, and the conference officials and the ADs and the coaches, I'm sure they all get together and find a solution.
Yep. I got one for them. The last 2 weeks of the season, if you got a team that's close to that 13, let's say they don't need but 2 games, they're at 11, you play the last 2 wins that need to be makeup games. You go somewhere on Wednesday and play another conference opponent. Even if you're playing the same one twice or 3 times, you go play that game so that team qualifies for the NC2A tournament, because it looks like that team will be representing you in the playoffs.
Meet me in Birmingham. Let's get some extra games in.
Right. You play on a Wednesday. Yeah, that's how you do it. You do it 2 weeks in a row, that'll give you 2 games.
Or you can always just go back to last year's winners, coach, and just let them go and represent.
Well, no, you can. Now that they don't have 13 games, it won't be great for Prairie View.
That one in there. You saw that?
Yeah. Oh, he slipped that one in on us.
That was a knuckle curve. Outside, just a little bit. Ball 4. Dr. Prince tried to slip one in there, huh? Okay.
Yeah, hey, look, the old baseball player threw us a spitter, man.
Hey, you got to be trying at all times, right? You got to be trying at all times.
I'm the manager. I run out there and I want that ball checked. Wait a minute, Carlos. Oh, Carlos is livid. He just got caught. With that being said, one last quick thing. NBA, switching gears. Harden, James Harden. The beard is now in the metropolitan New York area. Coach Pettaway, be careful what you ask for. Just may get it.
You took the words out of my mouth. Be careful what you ask for. They asked to be together. Now let's see how those three players, great players, are going to share that one basketball. Somebody has to give in order for that team to be successful, because there's only one ball.
Yeah, and with the Beers case, he may need a ball and a half. He's into the isolation ran for him, the offensive plays, and And
Durant is not used to standing around watching somebody pound the air out of a basketball. So James Harden just pounding the ball, that's not going to work for him.
Yeah, and to me, Durant's the best player.
Right, he's got to be the alpha dog. He's got to show them that this is my team, and this is how we're going to do it. That's what has to happen.
Well, Coach, appreciate the time as always, and we'll talk again next week. Stay safe, stay blessed.
Hey, thank you guys, and everybody be blessed and be safe. God bless.
All righty. That was Coach Van Pettaway here on the Carlos Brown Show. Quick comment from Derek here. They will probably do like they did for football bowls, eliminate the minimum win criteria, referring to the basketball and the makeup games in the Southwestern Athletic Conference. But I think they will. I think they will get together and have a plan put forth of how to handle this situation. Wow, Derek sent me a picture of a basketball. It's beat up. You know the kind of ball that you had for like 2 summers, and some of the leather's gone off of it. This is how the game ball is going to look after Kyrie and Harden's first game. Unbelievable. The text of the show right there. I'm going to have to save this and put it on the Carlos Brown Show Facebook page. This is how the game ball is going to look after Kyrie and Harden's first game. That ball looks like it's 6 years old. Wow. Well, we shall see. Take a time out. When I come back, I'll visit with Charles Edmond of the Alcorn State Radio Network. You're simply listening to the Carlos Brown Show.
Hello, this is Alonzo Hardy Jr., the president of the SWAC Alumni Association. The SWAC Alumni Association is an organization founded on December 10, 1999, at the Sheraton Hotel in Birmingham, Alabama. Its mission is to serve as a rallying ground for individuals who have made the Southwestern Athletic Conference the illustrious conference that it is today. Its membership is open to former student athletes who played in the conference in any sport, as well as to coaches, athletic administrators, staff members, game officials, and fans. Annually, the association holds a Legends Awards and Roast Banquet or luncheon where it honors individuals with Lifetime Achievement Awards, a Chuck Prophet Wagon Master Award, and occasionally a Distinguished Service Award. Proceeds from that event help to finance degree completion scholarships for student athletes who have exhausted their playing eligibility at SWAC universities, but who may still need an extra semester or 2 to complete their college studies. For more information on the SWAC Alumni Association, or to get information on becoming a member, you can send correspondence to SWAC Alumni Association, 875 Miller Creek Lane, Newport News, Virginia, 23602. The email address is swacaluminassociation@yahoo.com.
I present to you 3 of the fiercest subjects ever assembled in the cage of doom. First, the brain-wrenching behemoth, Algebra 2. Weighing at a mind-boggling 800 pounds. Foreign languages! The multilingual international sensation capable of tossing you clear across the Atlantic. And finally, biology. More ferocious than formaldehyde, she'll dissect you one chromosome at a time. Who among you will step up to their challenge?
Yeah, I'll do it. Me too. I'm in. Sign me up.
Take on the tough classes now. You need them to prepare for college. Find out which classes you need at knowhowtogo.org.
Brought to you by the American Council on Education, Lumina Foundation for Education, and the Ad Council.
And the game has just changed dramatically when you look at the celebrations on the sidelines and, the turnover chains and things of that nature. And in my opinion, things have changed, and it's become more about the sideshow than the actual show itself. And for me, playing the game the right way, being a good football player, being dominant in between the whistles, that's what the game is about, not the other stuff that really doesn't have anything to do with the game.
And lastly, Coach, just wanted to get your thoughts on, obviously Deion coming in, taking over at Jackson State. What have you noticed from an impact that he's had so far in the league? And is there a way that Grambling by association could reap some benefits from having a guy of that name and that magnitude in the league?
Well, that's really not something I put too much thought into. At the end of the day, my focus is my football team and making sure we're ready and prepared and ready to go. At the end of the day, everybody has to coach their team the way that they have to coach their team. They have to do what they need to do for their organization. And our focus is Grambling State University.
We're measured by wins and losses. That's how we're measured. So that's what it's about. As long as they keep scoring, we got to win. When they stop keeping score, it won't be a problem. But they keep score. We got to win. But not only win, we got to win academically. We got to win in the community. We got to get guys to the next level. All these guys that you've seen in this wonderful recruiting class that we accumulated, they plan on going pro. That means we have to develop them. We have to nurture them. We have to progress them so that they can fulfill that dream and that desire. That's part of winning as well.
Welcome back to this week's edition of the Coles Brown Show. Heard exclusively right here on the Open Mic Broadcast Network and Spreaker.com. I'm going to visit now with my colleague, longtime colleague, friend, Charles Edmond of the Alcorn State Radio Network. Charles, good morning to you, sir.
Good morning. Good morning. How are you?
I'm doing fine, and we're gonna get right to it. Those comments, Coach Fobbs, Coach Sanders at Jackson State, you can tell it was a politically correct answer, some would say, but what are your thoughts on those comments you just heard, particularly from Coach Fobbs?
I'm not surprised. That's who Coach Fobbs is. I think what Coach Fobbs and other coaches don't want to do is engage in the theater behind all of it and the hype. I think Coach Fobbs is right in terms of focusing on what he's got to do at Grambling to get that program back to where it needs to be, winning the Bayou Classic, getting back to the championship game. I get that. So he doesn't want to engage in it. He understands what Coach Sanders is all about and got to get it done on the field. So I get what Coach Fobbs is saying. And for Coach Sanders, he's got to nurture and develop. He's right about that. I don't have a problem with that, what he said there on Media Day. And I think he knows that it's on now. All the hyperbole, all the talk, all the hype, it's time to get to work. Your players are on campus. I've seen the video of them working out. So just trying to get them in shape. They're not in shape. They're probably not going to be in shape. No team in this conference is going to be in shape once football season kicks off February 27th. So I think all coaches are worried. Coach Sanders appears to be a little less worried, but I think for Coach Fobbs and back to his comments, I think he's exactly right. I think everybody's worried about their own program right now and just trying to get their kids in the best football shape that you can be in at this point to get ready for the season, which starts in about 6 weeks.
And I think those comments, that's the way it should be. And hour number one, I got kind of what's a word to put? Kind of been overwhelmed, got a bit agitated at every time I look, someone's sending me something about another transfer to Jackson State. And at some point, I'm like, you know what? I'm tired of it. I'm more concerned with Southern's roster. And you know what I did? I went and got a roster and looked at Southern, and guess what the other roster I looked at? Big guess. Anybody? 3, 2, 1.
Alcorn.
Wrong. Alcorn. And I looked at Southern and Alcorn roster. Look out. Here I go. I've exploded. But I looked at both rosters, and they're so similar. I think Alcorn maybe is a little bit more seasoned than Southern University, but they are very similar. Very. But that's what I'm looking at. Southern won Alcorn. Now, I'll go look at everybody else's roster. But to their point, you've got to think about what's going on with your team. If you're an Jackson State alum, you are excited, and you should be. Okay.
Absolutely. I mean, I think that's the whole thing. And of course, I follow what goes on here. I talked with Coach McNair extensively yesterday. A long conversation. The players are pretty much back on campus. They're doing some conditioning, and they're out here on the practice field just getting stuff done. He's very much concerned, and I'm sure every coach in the conference is concerned. I don't know if they said it verbally outward towards the media or anyone, but you can't cheat this game of football. It's a violent game, and you work, and as a coach told me the other day, you work from December to August to get ready for a grind of a football season. And Alcorn had 3 practices in the spring before we shut down due to COVID-19. We had a little bit of working out in October, but that's it. So now here it is 6 weeks before you kick it off against Alabama A&M in maybe the game of the year in the SWAC early part of the season. I mean, that's the game of the week, no doubt. Might be the game of the year for the first part of this SWAC season. And here it is. I don't think any coach is satisfied with where they are conditionally.
Yeah. And
so I think there's a lot of anxiety. There's a lot of anxiety internally with every coach in this league. Now, they might not express it outwardly. You might not hear it in their voice. I know Coach McNair is anxious. Dawson Owens is pretty cerebral, but I guarantee you internally he's anxious. Coach Fobbs is anxious. Every coach in this league is anxious because you just didn't get the time with your guys to put your hands on them, to work with them. You're doing a lot of Zoom stuff. I mean, that's okay for X's and O's, but you got to get out here and get it done physically. You've talked about it. I've talked about it. A lot of people have talked about it. So that's the biggest concern with coaches right now. Yeah, Deion has come in and he's generated a lot of buzz and a lot of attention. That's fine. But I guarantee you he's anxious too because he hasn't had an opportunity to see his players. There's a lot of talk right now, and that's great. But now the work really begins as you get ready for Edward Waters and Valley. You got 63 scholarships. You got a lot of transfers. Signing days coming up first Wednesday in February. How are you going to work all that in? There's a lot of work to be done now. You don't go on the post 5.5 weeks, so officially. So he's anxious. He's probably not talking about it externally. He feels confident, but there's a lot of work to be done for everybody right now with 6 weeks left to kick off the season.
Right, and valid point. With the concerns of coming back, and then you doing the spring season. Coach Odom's talked about it. How do you prepare when you lose some players? It's going to happen. That second unit, maybe even more valuable than in years past. It is really, truly going to be a journey. And who's standing at the end, we shall see. Now, some other little tidbits, Charles, conversations, social media, what have you. I've had a few conversations. And you always have the terms objective and subjective. Who's picking these all conference? Who's involved in the process of the predicted order of finish? But Grambling State missing players, right? First and second team, huge. That's one of the things. Felix Harper, Akil Glass conversation. Boy, that's broken out again. And a lot of it was still from last season. Who is, and right now it's predictions. Who on paper is going to get it done? What is the criteria? Who's the most valuable? You get my drift where that conversation is going as I open up and pull up the all conference selections, Charles. What do you think about that? Grambling, though, no players represented on either first or second team.
Yeah, I have to say it's been a small, and I love the SWAC. I'm a product of SWAC school. I work for SWAC school, but I think the people in the SWAC office know where I stand when it comes to these ballots and predicting these all-conference teams, who's on the ballots, who's looking at this stuff. And I've said this about baseball. I've said this about every sport. You got to have people that's selecting these teams, that's put their eyes on these teams literally every day. You know, you can't be a member trying to predict the all-conference first and second team, and you're not a part of this every day. You can't do it justice. And I think that's the one thing I look at. And I'm not trying to beat my own horn here, but I'm looking at every basketball game in conference, every play of every game, 18 games, every conference game in football, most in baseball, so I can get a good ballot in. But I think, you just have to see who's on these ballots and who's selecting them. Obviously, you have people that don't understand or don't know what these teams are doing. And there's no reason. And even here at Alcorn, Charles Pringle was not selected. And Charles Pringle is one of the top receivers in the conference coming back. Grambling with no players. I mean, and so every coach is going to have his beef, regardless of how good the selection committee is in selecting this stuff. It's always going to be objective and subjective, like you talked about. But I would just like to see, and I hope that you have people that are picking these teams that are in the grinder of the SWAC every day. And if you don't get that, then you're going to have these conversations, and they're going to become more and more passionate every day, especially with social media, people putting stuff out, expressing their displeasure. Social media is rampant now in terms of people getting their opinions out there. So, and I have confidence that the SWAC will figure it out. I think Andrew Roberts, the SWAC Media Relations Director, and Dr. McClellan will put their heads together and kind of get their heads around it. But I think right now, until you get people that are in this grind every day, that see the SWAC every day, most days, every week, I think it's hard to put a good ballot together. And therefore, you're going to have some people left out, like Southern, like Alcorn.
I'm visiting with Charles Edmond of the Alcorn State Radio Network. Alabama A&M led all member institutions with 9 total selections, followed by Prairie View with 8, Alcorn 7, University of Arkansas Pine Bluff 6, Southern 6, Alabama State 5 players, Jackson State 5, Texas Southern 3, and Mississippi Valley State 1. Felix Harper, preseason Offensive Player of the Year, quarterback Alcorn State. Preseason Defensive Player of the Year, Keontae Hampton, linebacker, Jackson State. And now I'll move on to the predicted order of finish with you, Charles. I'm sure you're not surprised by the predicted order of finish, are you?
No, I'm not. I mean, I think, you look at Felix Harper coming back, you got Pringle coming back. Yeah, we lost receivers like Chris Blair. We lost some players off the defense. But I think you have to go with, what we got coming back. Obviously Southern with Skelton and with offensively what they've got coming back. I'm not surprised at any of it. They got that one right, I think. So I'm not surprised at the order of selection at all.
Prairie View and Grambling State. A lot of discussion about that in the West. 2-3, 3-2. What do you think? In their preseason prediction, did they get it right?
I think it's a tough one. Yeah, it is a tough one. I think, following Grambling and following Prairie View, I think it's 6 in one, half a dozen in the other. I think they're very similar. I think they got a lot coming back. For me, for me with Grambling last year, the biggest issue I had was quarterback play. I think we all got spoiled. Who loves Grambling with Kincaid, but it's been a little bit of a drop off with Hit-Bottom. They signed this kid from New York that's going to be, that from what I'm hearing, it could be the real deal. We'll see. And if he is the real deal, and if Hit-Bottom improves, then I will give Grambling an edge, because Prairie View lost their quarterback. And I think, when you don't have that trigger man, you got a new guy, a new system. There could be some growing pains there where Hit-Bottom's been in the system. But with Prairie View, there's going to be a little learning curve with Dooley's system a little bit. And so I would go with Grambling just with that edge, just because of a little bit more experience.
And it's interesting, if I could play devil's advocate, some surely basing their decision why Prairie View should be 2 is because they're 2-0 simply against Grambling State. They're looking at that block game right there, Grambling State. But offensively, I thought Grambling struggled last year. We'll see. They've got experience coming back at quarterback. And if you look at the teams that have experience coming back at quarterback, you got Felix Harper, right? Glass.
Right.
Skelton. But
Yep.
now, let me move a little bit here. Got about 5 minutes left. Of those 3, you could absolutely say Southern quarterback position is not as steady as the other 2, correct?
No, I'm not going to say that.
Wait a minute, Charles. Wait a minute. I'm going to go ahead and listen to it. Go ahead. Explain your reason.
We're gonna agree to disagree, and I think Skelton should be the guy, and I know he's had his moments of inconsistency. If you go back to the Alcorn Southern regular season game, Dawson Odom had McDowell in the game 1 series too long, because the way Skelton brought his team back in that regular season game, if he had been in 1 series prior, I think Southern might have won the game. I think Skelton gives you right now the best chance of winning right now. Now, there's some issues. Yes, I think it's more mental than physical. You see the physical tools, the way he can run the ball, the way that he can manage. He's got to work on his throwing, obviously. But I think with him right now and all the rest he's got, it's about mental. In the championship game, when he made mistakes, Southern fans were on him. I saw it based on the TV monitor, and he let it get to him, and his players were trying to calm him down. He's got to work on that, because when he makes mistakes, people got to get on him, and he's got to fight through that. He struggled with that last year. But I think he's got all the physical makeup. He's got the tools. Just got to keep coaching him up and leveling him up and working him up. And if he does that, settles down, I think Skelton gives Southern the best chance to win right now.
Okay. Now, for the record, I didn't say who gives them the best chance. I say out of the 3, Glass, Felix Harper, and Skelton, Southern situation is the shakiest out of the 3 programs I mentioned. And so you still say that you disagree.
I disagree. I think Southern situation is, in my opinion, Southern situation is solid. I think it's Skelton all the way, unless he gets hurt or something like that. I think Skelton is fine.
I need a drink of water. Oh my goodness.
I'm sorry. Skelton made a believer in me. I think it's solid to me. I mean, of the 3, Glass is solid, Felix we know is solid, and I think Skelton is solid to me. I think you can go to a 4th. I would say Skelton a little. Well, I'll take it back. Just a little bit on the shaky side, just because of the mistakes that he's made. But I think he's more solid than people might think. So yeah, if you want to rate it, yes, I would agree with you. But in my world, what I've seen with my 4 eyes, I think Skelton should be solid more so than anyone. It's the coach.
Well, Charles, we'll have to continue this next week. Folks, if you think I am totally out in left field on that one, let me know. Let the conversation continue after the show. But Charles, as always, appreciate your
Hold on, before you
comment?
go, Charles. Big guy, I thought you was going to stand your ground. I thought you was going to stand your ground. You let them back you down at the last minute, man.
No. This is an incomplete discussion. No grades on this between me and Charles. I value his opinion. He values mine. But Charles, we'll continue this next week, okay?
All right, then. You have a good week.
All right. Stay blessed and be safe. Quickly before I get out of here, as always, I appreciate each and every one of you who listen in every week. Don't forget, donations accepted here at the Carlos Brown Show. If you want to donate, the Cash App is the Carlos Brown Show. It's open 24/7, 365 days a year. I want to do some big things, and I need your help on that. Want to thank producer, Brother Dr. Prince, guest menu, A.D. Drew, Black College Sports Network, Coach Van Pettaway, and Charles Edmond. Quickly, Dr. Prince, what do you have for Sunday night?
Sunday night, we're going to have the promoter of the State Fair Classic, Al Wash, and we're working on one other special guest.
6 p.m. Central Standard Time, correct?
Yes, sir. That is absolutely correct.
On the Open Mic Broadcast Network. Everyone, continue to be safe and stay blessed, and make sure you tune in next Saturday at 10 a.m. for another edition of the Carlos Brown Show, heard exclusively right here on the Open Mic Broadcast Network. Until next time, as always, peace and God bless.